So, Nate Diaz gets into a street fight in Thailand. I mean, Nate Diaz gets into a street fight, period. Is that surprising in any kind of way?
How's that feel? Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfucker.
Well, let's be honest about this. In reality, who can be really surprised about that? Nick and Nate Diaz have a history of going at it with people from Jason Mayhem Miller, all the way to Khabib, all the way to the Logan Paul lookalike in New Orleans during a Misfits event. I mean, the list goes on. But I tell you what, it's just business as usual. What do you expect? You got a bunch of hot headed Russians who, by the way, some of them are affiliated with Khabib. And then you got Nate Diaz in Thailand in a very hot weather with a bunch of Russians. By the way, guys that we already know he has a previous beef with. Now, let's take a look at the guy that he got into it with, right? We got an Instagram page of his that you guys should take a look at right here as you see him sort of throwing punches right here as it was going down. So it sort of started like this, where Nate was like, "Yeah, man, what's up? What's up? You know, what I'm saying Stockton 209. Yeah, 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 yeah." And he's like, "What, fool? What's up, fool?" And then somebody's over there sort of holding him back. This guy right here, same guy as the guy that was riding in a moped, right, driving John Jones around. The same guy, the guy in the middle right here, right next to the guy that is being choked, not the guy that is doing the choking, but the guy next to the guy that's being choked, right next to the guy that has the Brooklyn shirt. Hey, weirdly enough, look, he's got the Thailand shirt right there, right? Sort of a little bit ironic, like as if he knew he was going to get into a fight with Nate Diaz in Thailand, and so he wore that shirt for this video specifically. No, obviously that's not the case. But all right, more on this particular, that of the UFC, right? An off-week schedule, no fights. There were a few boxing cards. By the way, check out my live stream that I did for Josh Taylor versus Ikao Ezuman, which, by the way, I also did a reaction to Prince Nassim's final fight in relationship to what Josh Taylor should do in his third consecutive loss coming up against Ikao, right? So on to Nate Diaz. Is anybody surprised that Nate Diaz got into a fight in Thailand? I mean, the place doesn't matter at that point, right? But the fact that he got into a fight in Thailand is significant because he was out there shooting for Russia's Ultimate Fighter reality show, along with John Jones. That's not what's surprising. Nate Diaz will get into a fight anywhere. Obviously, you remember the Strike Force street fight that he had after the Jake Shields versus uh, Miller fight. If you guys remember that, right? Mayhem Miller was an opponent of Jake Shields, a longtime training partner of the Diaz brothers. They got into a street fight. What else? Khabib in PFL. They got into a street fight there. How about in New Orleans when he choked the fake Logan Paul and it literally triggered Logan Paul's dad, like as if it was the real Jake or Logan Paul. But obviously, that wasn't the case. Look, Nate Diaz is susceptible to these things. Okay, that's really what it is. Now, is he just going to go out there and randomly fight anybody at any time? No. Obviously, he's had beef with Khabib's team for a long time. Now, that may bleed over into dealing with Russians in Thailand. So it is no surprise that he got into a fight with these guys. It's just an insane element of people that you are really looking for a fight. Look, you've seen a lot of these Russian reality shows that deal with mixed martial arts, MMA, boxing, and bare knuckle boxing. You've seen the weigh-ins. You've seen these little press conferences that they have where people are up on the stage talking in a couch and this and that. Next thing you know, it's two Dagestani guys with beards that look like mine all of a sudden scrapping it out right then and there. All right, this is standard business. This is what they do. But now you add Nate Diaz into it, and then you throw them in Thailand. And I'm not going to say it's a lawless country or anything like that, but you can get away with getting into a fight, or at least, by the very least, mutual combat with other people in those countries. Not necessarily the type of situation where, let's say, you had Vitali going into an Asian country, in particular the Philippines, causing the type of mayhem that he did. Also, the likes of Johnny Somali, in which the mayhem that he caused in Korea.
Johnny Somali realized how bad things are for him, hence why his new plan is to eventually flee South Korea, apparently.
I'm renting.
Pero we have a backlog of 1,300 cases from 2016. We are solving 30 cases a month, so about one a day. So,
But the Thais, not only do they love Muay Thai is a big part of their culture, but so is street fighting. I've seen this one Arab dude who got jumped by a few of these Thai dudes. I don't know what the reason was. It just says Arab guy gets beat up by a group of these Thai guys, and it was his girlfriend that was sort of backing these guys away or whatever. But that's neither here or there, right? That's
First, as you see in the footage, and a group of Thais who got in a wild brawl at a restaurant on Soi Yen Sabai following a minor traffic accident and refusal to pay any compensation on the Kuwaiti tourist part. Hi, folks.
Country, just like any country, everybody street fights, but to the tolerance of the authorities is really what it all comes down to and how they handle it. Obviously, Masvidal got into a street fight against Leon Edwards. How did that work out? Nothing. No charges pressed. He flew out of England straight away, trying to evade the law. And Leon Edwards, well, you know, he comes from the streets. His dad was a street dude. He's not about to play that snitching game in any kind of way. Neither will John Jones. Neither will the Russians who come from an honor culture, and especially not the Dagestanis. So all of this is just normal standard behavior by the end of the day. Now, Nate Diaz, on the other hand, I don't know, man. The guy is out of his mind. But you know what? People love it. People love it. And you know what? People can't understand why. Well, I think most people, especially in Western countries, right, where there is a dominance of, let's say, urban hip hop or ghetto culture of some sort, right, whether that would be in the US or the UK or Ireland, they love the Nate Diaz types of the world. But for somebody like Khabib and somebody like the Russians, or in particular the Dagestanis, this is just not the type of culture that they're into. They don't like people that sort of flaunt the fact that they go and smoke weed in front of the public. They don't like the fact that these people go out and cuss or do all these things that's just, you know, absolutely un-Islamic behavior to their standards. But Nate Diaz, on the other hand, he's a petty dude. He's one of these dudes that he just smacks you one time, even if you beat the living hell out of him, and he'll take that as a win. And that's really all there is to it. But I can guarantee you right now, this won't be the last time Nate Diaz will get into a street fight anywhere in the world. At least, yeah. At least not right now. Maybe when he gets older, but then again, you never know. There's guys out there like Wack 100, 47 years old, trying to get into a fight with the likes of Aaron the Plumber. And by the way, that's another story in and of itself, right? Sort of a little side quest story that we're going to get into right now. Here's what it is. You guys know what happened. Aaron the Plumber snitched on Wack 100. Now, I don't agree with it, because there was a time where Aaron the Plumber did subscribe to the social contract of the honor culture in the streets, very similar to that of Nate Diaz and those Russians and anybody that's part of the gang world or criminal organizations or anything to that particular trajectory. If you're in that part of the world, I don't think you should play both sides. Now Aaron is saying that he's now a civilian, he's a plumber, he's a journeyman plumber, he's also a reality TV show star. Now he says that I don't need to be in this part of the world anymore. I'm going to go snitch, primarily because his mom was threatened by Wack 100. Now, here's the weird thing. Aaron has been shot before. Did you guys know that? But he never snitched on the guy that actually shot him, and he probably knows who it is, allegedly. I don't know. That's not my thing to do, right? That's not for me to, yeah. Anyways, yeah, he never snitched on a guy, but he's going to snitch on Wack 100. And I guess it kind of draws the line where you are going after families and this and that. But even that, I don't know, man. Here's the thing that you got to understand. If you're the type of guy like Nate Diaz who puffs his chest out thinking that you're going to go and beat everybody up, and by the way, I'm really no different in that particular light, right? Like if you mess with me in any kind of way, I'll knock your head off. There's no doubt about that. If you offend me in any kind of way, I'm lifting you 10 feet in the air. I don't care who saw me, just jaw you, call you a lawyer. You know, the rest of the song with Eminem. You know how that goes. But anyways, on any regard, here's one thing that I will say. If you're that type of guy, you have to hold yourself to a certain set of standards. Just like Leon Edwards. He got punched on, and guess what? He never told the cops. Okay, Nate Diaz, he's been violated a few times by Khabib and his team. He's also violated Khabib and his team. Nobody ever called the cops. That's how this goes. That's how all of this goes. Okay, if you are that guy and you feel that you are one of the toughest guys to walk in a room, it's just not what you do. You don't call the police. You handle your own candle. But on any regard, that's all that I could really say for this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next topic, in the next video, in the next live stream, more importantly, that I've been doing more often. Like and subscribe. I'm going to drop the most epic content that mixed martial arts YouTube has ever seen. And I promise you that. MMA needs, if you want to find predictions, news, and everything that deals with MMA, shout outs to Kyrie, Abu El-Kheer MMA, Sacramento, California, represent.
That's right, Kyrie. I appreciate you, my nigga. You came in here, you was talking that shit. That's right, bro. Much love, Flo. I appreciate you for always stepping in, bro. Be safe out there. Man, my nigga Kyrie, my man Kyrie came through. He started talking that shit. Hey, here's the thing. Here's the thing. That nigga will whoop your fucking ass. You would think that nigga's all squared up and all that type of shit. Nigga come through and beat your fucking ass. Like, man, fuck you up. You will never see it coming. So for those of y'all